4, which is the context of the organization. In ISO 40001, the context of the organization is to emphasize the need to identify and understand the organization's environmental factors and influence on environmental performance, which the scope is environmental management system and identify environmental aspects. In ISO 9001, the context is to focus on understanding the internal and external issues that can affect the organization's ability to achieve its quality objective. Its scope is its quality management system and identify the process, risks and opportunities that need to be addressed to deliver products and services that meet customer requirements. In ISO 45001, the context of the organization is centering around identifying issues that can impact the organization's ability to provide safe and healthy workplace. The organization should determine the scope, which is around safety management system, and identify hazard, risks, opportunities associated with its activities and services.
We will be entering clause 4.1, which is understanding the organization and its context. For the ISO 14001, which is the environmental management system, it is to determine the internal and external issues that are relevant to the organization's purpose and strategic direction. They identify factors that can impact environmental performance, including legal requirements, stakeholder expectations, and interactions with the environment. As for the ISO 9001, which is the quality management system, it is to determine internal and external issues that can affect the organization's ability to achieve its quality objectives. It considers factors such as organization purpose, strategy direction, interested parties, and the relevant legal, technological, competitive, and social environment. And as for the ISO 45001, which is the occupational health and safety management system, it is to determine the internal and external issues that can impact the organization's ability to provide a safe and healthy workplace. The factors which are considered, such as legal requirements, societal expectations, and interactions with workers, contractors, and other interested parties. As for clause 4.2, which is understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties, ISO 14001 identify and understand the needs and expectations of stakeholders of interested parties related to organizations' environmental aspects. Consider the requirements of customers, regulators, employees, local communities, and other relevant stakeholders. ISO 19001 will identify and understand the needs and expectations of stakeholders or interested parties related to the organization's products and services. They consider customer requirements, regulatory expectations, industry standards, and other relevant factors. As for ISO 45001, they identify and understand the needs and expectations of stakeholders or interested parties related to the organization's occupational health and safety. They consider workers' health and safety requirements, regulatory obligations, community expectations, and other relevant factors. Quality management system. The environmental management system, which is ISO 14001, will define the boundaries and extent of the organization's environmental management system. They determine the processes, functions, products, and services that are included within the scope of the system. It is also applied to the quality management system, which is ISO 90001. They also define the boundaries and extent of the organizations, but it's for the quality management system. They identify the processes, functions, products, and services that are included within the scope of the system. For ISO 45001, which is Occupational Health and Safety Management System, they also define the boundaries and the extent of the organization's occupational health and safety management system. It also processes functions, activities, and services that are included within the scope of the system. As for Clause 4.4, which is the Quality Management System processes, ISO 14001 establish, implement, and maintain processes necessary to achieve the intended outcomes of the environmental management system. They ensure the integration of the environmental management processes into the organization's overall business processes. As for the ISO 19001, they establish, implement, and maintain process necessary to achieve the intended outcomes of the quality management system. They ensure the integration of quality management processes into the organization's overall business processes. And as for ISO 45001, they also establish, implement, and maintain processes necessary to achieve the intended outcomes of the occupational health and safety management system. They ensure the integration of health and safety management processes into the organization's overall business processes. Finally, as for the clause 4.5, leadership and commitment. For ISO 14001, they demonstrate leadership and commitment by top management to the environmental management system. They establish an environmental policy, assign responsibilities, and provide necessary resources to support the system's implementation and effectiveness. Same goes for ISO 19001. They also demonstrate leadership and commitment by top management to the quality management system. They also establish quality policy, assign responsibilities, and provide necessary resources to support the system's implementation and effectiveness. For ISO 45001, they demonstrate leadership and commitment by the top management to the occupational health and safety management system. They establish an occupational health and safety policy, assign responsibilities, and provide necessary resources to provide support to the system implementation and effectiveness.
Assalamualaikum, I'm Wanduliana. I'll be presenting the comparison on Clause 5, Leadership. Clause 5.1, Leadership and Commitment. For ISO 40001, the top management should demonstrate the leadership and commitment with respect to the environmental management system by taking the accountability for the effectiveness of the EMS, ensuring that the EMS achieve its intent outcome, and promoting the continual improvement. For ISO 9001, there are two clauses, 5.1.1 general and 5.1.2, customer focus. So for the general clause, top management should demonstrate leadership and commitment with respect to the quality management system by taking accountability for the effectiveness of the quality management system and promoting the use of the process approach and the risk-based thinking. For clause 5.1.2, customer focus, it demonstrates with respect to customer focus by ensuring the focus on enhancing customer satisfaction is maintained and customer and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements are determined. While for ISO 45001, the top management shall demonstrate with respect to the OSH management system by taking overall responsibility and accountability for the prevention of work-related injury and ill health, ensuring that the OSH management system achieves its intent outcome, and protecting workers from reciprocal when reporting incident, hazard, risks, and opportunities. Next is Clause 5.2, Environmental Policy. For ISO 14001, the top management shall establish, implement, and maintain an environmental policy that within the defined scope of its EMS, which provide framework for setting environmental objectives and includes the commitment to fulfill its compliance obligation. This environmental policy shall be maintained as documented information, be communicated within the organization, and be available to interested parties. And next, for ISO 9001, there are two clauses, 5.2.1, establishing the quality policy, and 5.2.2, communication the quality policy. So the first clause, 5.2.1, the top management shall establish and implement and maintain the quality policy that provides framework for setting quality objective and includes a commitment to satisfy applicable requirements. For clause 5.2.2, communication the quality policy first is be available to be maintained as a documented information and be communicated, understood, and applied within the organization. And for ISO 45001, the top management shall establish, implement, and maintain the OSH policy that provide framework for setting OSH objective, includes a commitment to eliminate hazard and reduce OSH risk, includes a commitment to fulfill legal requirement and other requirements. Clause 5.3, Organizational Rules, Responsibility and Authorities. For ISO 14001, top management shall assign and communicate it within the organization to ensuring that the EMS conforms to the requirement of this international standard and reporting on the performance of the EMS, including environmental performance, to the top management. While for ISO 9001, the top management shall assign, communicated, and understood within the organization by ensuring that the quality management conforms to the requirement of this international standard and reporting on the performance of the quality management system and on the opportunity for improvement in the particular to the top management. While for ISO 45001, the top management shall assign and communicate at all levels within the organization and maintain as a documented information by ensuring that our management system conforms to the requirements of this document and reporting to the performance of the OSH management system to top management. For ISO 14001 and ISO 9001, there's no clause 5.4, consultation and participation of workers. While for ISO 45001, the organization shall provide mechanism, time, training, and resources necessary for consultation and participation, emphasize the consultation of non-managerial workers, which establish the OSH policy and determine how to fulfill the requirement and other requirements. And third is emphasize the participation of non-managerial workers by determining the mechanism for their consultation and participation and identifying hazard and assessing risks and opportunities.
For 6.1.1, basically organization shall consider internal or external issue regardless any ISO applied to achieve their desired outcome and continually improve. Next, for 6.1.2, the organization shall determine what action to be taken in their aspect. We move on to 6.1.3, where in ISO 14001, how compliant obligations can be applied to the organization, and for ISO 45001, to determine how legal other requirement will be applied in their organizations. For 6.1.4, about planning action when they encounter the risks and opportunities, and this is applied to ISO 14001 and ISO 45001. Next, for subclause 6.2.1, organizations should establish their objective at relevant function and level in order to maintain and improve their performance and objective, and it shall be consistent with their policy. Next, for subclause 6.2.2, organization shall determine 5 things, which are what will be done, what resource required, who is responsible, when it will be completed, how the results evaluated. For 6.3, planning of changes, available only in ISO 9001, it says that when there is a need for change, the organization shall consider the purposes, the integrity of QMS, availability of resources, as well as allocation or reallocation of responsibility and authorities.
Next is clause 7 support. So in subclause 7.1, there all 3 ISO have the same resources, which is human and infrastructure. However, in ISO 90001, it has additional resources of environment for the operation processes, while in ISO 45001, it has additional resources of natural, technology, and financial. Next, for subclause 7.2 competence, ISO 14000 and ISO 9001 both competency of the person doing the work under its control that affect the environmental performance and effectiveness of the QMS, while in ISO 45001, competence of work should include knowledge and skill appropriately to identify hazard and deal with the OSHA risk at workplace. Next, for subclause 7.3 awareness. In ISO 14001, persons and the organization are aware of environmental policy regarding existence, purpose, and role in achieving commitment. While in ISO 9001, the person and the organization need to aware of quality, policy, objective, contribution to the effectiveness of QMS, and implication of not conforming with requirement. While for ISO 45001, workers, contractors, visitors of any party should be aware of the OSHA risks that they are exposed to. 7.4 communication. So for ISO 14001, the communication in and out should be transparent, appropriate, truthful and not misleading, understandable, and include relevant information. While for ISO 9001, it must be relevant to the QMS, include on what, when, with whom, how, and who it will communicate. While for ISO 45001, the communication must provide the gathering, updating, and the dissemination of the information. The information should be relevant, well received, and understandable to all. In subclause 7.5, documented information. For ISO 14001, document information must be created in manner sufficient, adequate, and efficient for EMS, while focus on implementation of EMS and environmental performance. While ISO 9001 ensure appropriate identification and description, format, review, and approval for suitability, while also add following activities as applicable, such as distribution, access, retrieval and use, storage and preservation, control for changes, and also retention and disposition. But for ISO 45001, the documented information must be kept at minimum level to ensure effectiveness, efficiency, and simplicity, but also include information regarding planning.
Clause 8 is an operation. For all standard 8.1 operation planning and control, the organization shall establish, implement, control, and maintain all processes needed to meet the EMS requirement and to implement the action determined in Clause 6. For 8.2 for ISO 45001 is emergency preparedness and response. The organization shall establish, implement, and maintain the processes needed to prepare for and respond to potential emergency situation. For ISO 9001, 8.2 requirements for products and services. The organization shall establish customer communication, determine the requirements for product and services, review the requirements for product and services, ensure relevant documented information is amended, and that relevant persons are made aware of the change requirement. For ISO 45001, 8.2 management of change, The organization shall establish processes for the implementation and control of planned temporary and permanent changes that impact OH and S performance. So 3 of ISO are focusing on improve the suitability, adequacy and effectiveness in managing system in their own section in order to satisfy with ISO standard. It is an ongoing process that entails preparation, performance, supervision and problem solving. The improvement is generally predicated on the idea that few continuing and well-calculated modification can result in significant advancements over time.
Clause 9, Performance Evaluation. Clause 9.1, Monitoring, Measurement, Analysis, and Evaluation. For ISO 14001, there are two clauses, 9.1.1 General and 9.1.2 Evaluation of Compliance. So the first clause, General, the organization should evaluate its environmental performance and the effectiveness of the EMS. Clause 9.1.2, Evaluation of the compliance. The organization should determine the frequency that compliance will be evaluated. Evaluate compliance will take action if needed and maintain knowledge and understanding of its compliance status. While for ISO 9001, Clause 9.1.1 General, the organization should evaluate the performance and effectiveness of the quality management system. And for ISO 45001, Clause 9.1.1 General, the organization should evaluate the OSH performance and determine the effectiveness of the OSH management. Clause 9.1.2, the evaluation of compliance, the organization shall determine the frequency and method for the evaluation of compliance, evaluate compliance that take action if needed, maintain the knowledge and understanding its compliance status with legal requirements, and retain documented information of the compliance evaluation result.
For 9.2, internal audit, the organisation need to conduct internal audit at planned interval to provide information the 3 ISO involved.
9.3 Management Review. So the similarity between all the 3 ISO can be seen in the both point in ISO 14001, 9.3.1 General, while 9.3.2 Management of Review Input in ISO 9001 and the second point in ISO 45001. While the difference can be seen in the first point in ISO 45001, which is plan, establish, implement, and maintain an audit program, which including the frequency, method, responsibility, consulting, planning, requirement, and reporting. Also in the ISO 9001 9.3.3 management review output, in which review output include decision and action related to the opportunities for improvement and also any need for changes to the quality management system.
10.3 is continual improvement. All standards continually improve the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. For ISO 14001, the organization continually improve on the EMS. For ISO 9001 is QMS, and for ISO 45001 is OH and S management system. The differences between ISO 9001 and ISO 45001 is ISO 9001 consider the result of analysis and evaluation and the outputs of the management review. For ISO 45001, the organization should take an action to achieve continual improvements. Clause 10 is improvement. For general, ISO 40001 is to accomplish the intended outcome of its EMS. For ISO 9001 is to meet customer requirements and enhance customer satisfaction, including improved product, services, and performance of quality management system. For ISO 45001 is to achieve the intended outcomes of its occupational health and safety management system. 10.2 is non-conformity and corrective actions. For ISO 14001 and ISO 9001, when a non-conformity occurs, including arising from complaint, the organization shall take action to control, correct, and deal with the consequences. Second one is determine whether action is required to eliminate the causes of the non-conformity and documented proof regarding non-conformities, action taken, and the outcome of corrective actions. For ISO 45001 is a process including reporting, investigating, and taking action need to be maintained in order to determine and manage incidents and non-conformity. And the root causes of the incident need to be carried out.